What's up, guys? My name is Isaac and welcome back to another Morales Motors video. I'm gonna start off the video by saying if you regret not investing in Bitcoin in 2009, then just subscribe to my channel because it's the same dang thing. Gosh, I'm out of breath. Give me a minute. Today's video, I'm gonna be talking about the 3 best cars for you. I want to be clear that the cars that I'm going to be talking about in this video today are cars that make you feel very comfortable, very safe, and overall, just feel really good about driving, right? Because let's be honest, a lot of cars can't do that. For example, the Porsche 911 GT3 RS, from what I've heard, is an extremely uncomfortable car, but that's because it's not a daily driver. It's a car that you have to drive on the track. It's a track focused car. I'm not going to be talking about extremely sporty cars. I'm going to be talking about cars that have good performance, but they're not aggressive track monsters, right? And they're not extremely fast. I'm talking about cars that basically make you feel like you're sitting in your living room, right? On to the first. I'm gonna start off by saying I have a 2006 Mercedes C-Class W203, and it has been nothing but reliable, nothing but smooth, and nothing just short of amazing. It had like 118,000 miles when we first got it. I think right now it has 123,000 or 124,000, so I've put a little bit of mileage on it. I have had one problem with it. That problem being the fact that the fuel pump went out and I couldn't turn it on for roughly a week. Thankfully though, my father fixed that up for me and it's like new now. I used to think the car had transmission problems because of how slow the car shifts, but I just learned that there's no problem with it. It's just a 7226 transmission, which means it's a 5-speed automatic transmission. That means there are only 5 gears to choose from. And between the range of 7 miles per hour to 90 miles per hour, you don't have many gears to shift from. So especially when you start accelerating the car, it shifts super slow. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just how it is. Now on to start with the video. The first car is gonna have to be a very obvious one. The Toyota Camry. And now the reason I say the Toyota Camry is because not only is this car super reliable, it's more, I wouldn't call it luxurious, but it's slightly more luxurious than that of the Corolla. You can option it out for leather seats, which you can on the Corolla as well, but it's a larger car. If you're a bigger person like myself, not only, wider, but also like taller, it's gonna be better for you. What I noticed from most girls is that they tend to like larger cars, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're probably gonna opt for the Camry over the Corolla, but I would also choose the Camry over the RAV4 or Highlander, Grand Highlander, or whatever, because not only are they just as reliable, but in terms of gas mileage, you're spending less when you fill up the tank. And because it's a smaller car, it's gonna be a little safer. Think of it like Fortnite, If you have a larger hitbox, then, more prone to getting shot than if you had a smaller hitbox. Not only that, but because of how small the car is, it's gonna be easier to park, It's self-explanatory, so, you get my point. But yeah, that is why the Camry is a good option for you. Next up is the Mercedes W203 C-Class. It was produced from 2001 to 2007. Why I would choose a W203? I'm gonna start off by saying I am biased because that is my own car. You guys who follow me on social media already know that. And like I said earlier in the video, you're not gonna wanna get a 7-speed automatic /7229. you're either going to want to get the 7226 or the 6-speed manual. Not only that, but the W203 C55 is considered to be the most reliable AMG ever. That's not my words. People with a C55 AMG have said that the car is super reliable, especially the engine. Why? Because it's not like all the other 55 AMG vehicles, which were supercharged. So this car has what we call a M113 transmission, while the other ones would be the M113K engine. What does the K stand for? Compressor. What does compressor mean? Compressor means supercharger. These cars are supercharged. Though the C55 is naturally aspirated, so it doesn't have to worry about the reliability, the wear and tear of something else mounted onto the engine, right? So there's less to worry about. What you notice on a lot of new luxury full-size SUVs, like let's say a Cadillac Escalade or a Mercedes GLS, you notice that they have electronic controls to move the second row seat to enter to the third row, right? And what that says to me and a lot of other people is that's another thing to break. Obviously anything can break on any car, but there's a reason why there's a higher chance of an electronic seat breaking over a manual seat. Same logic applies to the M113 transmission, the naturally aspirated 5.4 liter V8 engine on the C55 AMG Mercedes. There's one less part to break because of the fact that it does not have a supercharger mounted onto it. So now if you want to have not only reliability and fun and performance all in one car, you can get a C55 Mercedes AMG. Obviously, you can have a supercharged engine or a turbocharged engine that are also very reliable. Like for example, the Hellcat, that is a very reliable engine. Or the 4 liter flat 6 engine has 2 turbos. The B58 engine is twin turbocharged. Those are all very reliable engines. And you don't see anybody complaining that those engines have problems. But any W203 engine can be extremely reliable as long as you maintain it right. For example, my car. People tend to say that the V6 is unreliable, and I understand. However, that is all anecdotal. You can have a very unreliable car, but there are some anecdotal situations where your car can be very reliable. For example, any Land Rover. People say those cars are notorious for having problems. They have all sort of transmission issues, all sort of electronic issues, all sort of engine or problems, everything, you know. However, there are some situations where those cars are very reliable. And the reason I say it in quotations is because it's all anecdotal. The reason you have a very reliable Land Rover is because you maintained it religiously, right? My car is very reliable. It has an M272 engine. And for the engine, there's not been anything wrong with it for roughly the 6,000 to 7,000 miles I've had it. Enough of that. It's time to move on to the next car. The reason I held on to this car for the last one is because it can get very pricey, even with like 300,000 miles and it being 20 years old. You're not gonna find one under $10,000, and that's going to be the Lexus LX 470. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was produced from 1999 to around 2007. 4.7 liter V8, which was notorious for having no problems, unlike the Land Rover where I said it was notorious for having so many problems. I kid you not. I'm gonna enter a picture here. $15,000 for 300,000 plus miles. Yes. Some people I kid you not, sell them for $20,000. It is insane, but it is true. That should tell you something on its own. Pair it with the fact that it had a standard 11 speaker Mark Levinson sound system, which I have Mark Levinson headphones and they sound phenomenal. Also, it had standard heated seats, heated leather seats. It had 3 lockers or 2 lockers. What was it? All I know is that it also had full-time 4-wheel drive with a basic 4-wheel drive setting. You either had the high or the low, and obviously the neutral. Not only was it super reliable and luxurious, but it also was super capable off-road, super capable on the snow. It's just like crazy. You're not gonna find a single one with like even a little bit of rust. Obviously, some are gonna be in worse condition than others, but you know, that's due to ownership. And I believe they had a very simple 4-speed automatic transmission. Once again, the leather seats, the heated seats, the Mark Levinson sound system. It also had power fold mirrors. You know, you press a button and both the side mirrors freaking fold. In 2002, it had a backup camera. My gosh, this thing was crazy. It also had 3 rows, so it was big enough for the family. The car was insane, right? It's just such a good car, and the more I talk about it now, the more I understand why people are selling it at such high prices despite having such high mileage, you know. And yeah. But if you made it this far into the video, tell me what car you would buy. Would you buy one of the 3 I suggested? The Toyota Camry, the W203 Mercedes C-Class, or the Lexus LX470? Or tell me what other car you would get. And if you're new here, remember to drop a like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Thank you for watching. It's been me.